Welcome to the Life, Love, Everything podcast. I am your host, Tasman Buerta. I hope you guys are feeling as excited as I am about our next guest because I think this is the update that we have all been waiting for. In our previous season, we had a wonderful mom come onto the podcast and share her journey with her daughter Rory on dynamic movement intervention. Till today, that is still our most highest ranked episode. And it just speaks to the nature of how science is developing, about how important it is to tell our stories, because you never ever know who it is that you are helping. I have had the fortune of watching their journey unfold. It gives me goosebumps. And today I decided to do this episode raw. So our mom, Anthea Kostin, has some great news to share with all of us. I have seen on social media here and there everything that's going on, but I know there's so much more to the story. And we're going to jump into it. We're going to welcome Anthea back onto the podcast. How are you doing, Anthea?
I'm so good, Tasmin, and I'm so happy to be back. Just to give you an update and talk about what is happening currently, and also obviously highlight the benefits and the improvement we've seen with Rory with DMI training.
Absolutely. I am so interested to hear it because I know that the last time we spoke, you guys were going to go and do another round, and a whole lot of interesting things are happening. But I think before we jump into the where we are now, just for those who have not gone to listen to that first episode, which I highly recommend that you do. Will you give us a bit of a background story onto your motherhood journey? You are a mom of two, and how that has all played and brought us to where we are today.
Okay, so all right. So Rory was born firstly at 28 weeks, and we had 2 months in the NICU, and that in itself was a journey on its own. And then at 3 months old, she contracted bacterial meningitis, which left her with a severe brain injury. And then we were basically thrown into the deep end. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, but like once or twice a week. And I felt it wasn't enough. So we sought alternative therapy. We wanted more. And then we went to the US and we met Dr. Sunny. And Dr. Sunny we did DMI. And, we've been doing therapy with Rory for about a year before we went to the US. And when we went, it took about 3 weeks for my child to sit independently. 3 weeks.
Wow.
And when we last spoke, she was sitting for about 30 seconds or so, 30 to 40 seconds on her own. Fast forward 2 years, she's now sitting for a few minutes independently, holding herself up. We have gone back to Dr. Sunny. The second time was last year. Yeah, last year we went back to Dr. Sunny. And so we have seen significant improvement. What we couldn't achieve in a year and a half here locally, we achieved in 3 weeks there. So that was,
Wow.
impact DMI has.
Do you maybe want to give a brief overview for the parents that don't know what is dynamic movement therapy and how is it different to conventional therapy? Because most of our preemies end up having to have some form of physical therapy. So, what are the differences between the two?
So the conventional therapy is it's either movement or it's basically just movement. Say for example, occupational therapy, how to sit. So which movements does the body need to how do you move the body in order to sit or in order to crawl? So it's movement based, which is great, fantastic. But dynamic movement intervention is it triggers new pathways in the brain. It stimulates neuroplasticity. A lot of the times you're working against gravity, and it forces the body and the brain to connect. And create new how should I, connections. Because
Mhm.
and this is something I read recently, and on average, a newborn, for example, sorry, let me silence this. On average, a newborn would take 7 seconds or so, 5 to 7 seconds to respond to something new. But a child with a brain injury takes anything from 10 seconds plus.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that's where, yeah, just to respond to stimulus. So dynamic movement intervention actually, it pushes you and it accelerates that healing.
Wow. 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 So I know that at the time when I spoke to Dr. Sunny, obviously things have changed. More therapists are coming on board to get certified in DMI because, I
Hmm.
mean, the results,
Yeah.
as you said, they speak for themselves. What
Hmm.
you could do, what you couldn't do in a year and a half, you managed to do in 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Is there do you know, is there specific criteria in order for someone to do DMI?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, premature kids, obviously, children who are developmentally delayed, children with brain injuries, children with genetic disorders. So any child typically who's not developing as they should can qualify for DMI.
Wow. Okay, okay, that is very, very interesting to know. So I am dying for an update on how my Rory girl is doing. Because I have seen some amazing,
Yeah,
amazing, amazing
yeah,
things, guys. And I want to say before we even dive into it, because I know as a mom of a special needs child, just how taxing it is on you as the parent, emotionally, physically, financially. And I just
yeah.
want to say that, and also you do have another child. So,
Hmm.
and I think the needs are very different of both kids. And
Yeah,
so it's very hard, I know, as a mom of multiples to show up as the
yeah.
person that you need to be for each child. So I want to give you your flowers and say that you guys are doing a fantastic, fantastic job with both the kids. Because I see little brother on some videos as well. He
Yeah,
is just the cutest.
yeah. I
And
mean, we
yeah,
try and
sometimes,
include him.
yeah, sometimes we don't hear it enough that you know that you are doing a good job. Like all these
Hmm.
sacrifices, all
Yeah.
this research that you're doing, because what the audience doesn't know is that you and I are kind of obsessed with neuroscience. And whenever
Yes.
I come across something that has to do with the brain, I'm like, let me share with Anthea because
Yeah.
there's some people that get it and some that don't. And I love
Yeah.
that I can share my excitement with you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's time they should give us our little doctorate for neuroscience.
Yeah. I'm mommy doctor, so I'm good. Yeah.
I love it. So tell us, how is Rory doing?
So Rory is okay. So January this year, we did stem cell therapy for the first time. And we have, I mean, yes, she went through a regression, stuff that she used to do, she couldn't do anymore. And then boom, all of a sudden, the child is ready to crawl. She's sitting up. Yeah, she's sitting up for much longer. She's lifting herself. Her core is so much stronger. She's grabbing onto, she's smiling, she's making eye contact. But it's not just stem cell therapy alone. We also weaned her from her seizure meds. I mean, she was on a bunch of different seizure meds, but we took her off. We took her off one, and then she just started interacting. She started playing. She started making eye contact, um, and it was round about the time we did the
What?
stem cell therapy as well. Yeah, she's making new sounds. She is, man. She's just a different kid. It's such a joy. It's such a joy. And before, it took us 2 years to see her smile for the first time. Actually, I'm lying, 3 years because she's turning 4 now in August. And I never
Wow.
thought I'd see my child smile. And that's everything to me. I mean, it's those little
Yes.
milestones, it seems so insignificant for a lot of other parents, but for me, it's
Yeah,
huge. It's huge.
absolutely.
So, and she's a little bit more confident. Things that she struggled a lot with 2 years ago, she is doing effortlessly now. So it's, yeah, she's doing really good. I'm very excited. We are doing the second round of stem cell therapy in August this year. I think it will be the second week in August. And then we are going to plan for a DMI intensive, which I'm going to get into now as well. Um, but yeah, none of this comes without tears and without sleepless nights and without
Mm,
stress. And it's not all rosy. It's a tough road. It is a tough road. A lot of the times I look at her and I still have that why. um
mm,
it's not like you will have peace even though your child is doing better.
yes.
You make peace with it, but inside your heart there's still something is, yeah.
Yeah, I
um
think it will
yeah,
always be like that because obviously no one ever plans to have a child
of
that is
course. Yeah,
differently abled. And as she's learning, so are you learning. And
exactly.
I think it's okay to feel the way that you feel. In fact, I think it's necessary because if we do pretend like everything is okay, I would be very worried because it's a difficult. It
you know
definitely
yeah,
is.
and you
Do you
understand.
manage? Oh, no, sorry, continue.
No, sorry, I was gonna add, like, how so Rory has to be on a specific diet, and everything with Rory, it's like so specific. So she's on the keto diet and she eats super healthy. I'm very particular what I put in her food, and I do all her meal preps. But then my son, he's like what, 11 months younger than her, and sometimes it's like, okay, it's too much noise. Rory's already been screaming. Just,
Yeah.
here's a packet of chips. So I
Yeah.
neglect health-wise. He sometimes gets neglected. So it's that balance of what can I do today? How do I cope today? Yeah, and he hasn't even gone to daycare for like 2 months because I was scared he was gonna bring the flu home, or there was always
Mm,
something going on at school.
yeah.
So there again, he gets neglected. But he's almost 3 and I'm still breastfeeding, so I think I'm making up for that. And there's a lot of one-on-one time with me and him.
Wow!
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I
my
haven't
gosh.
slept for like 4 years. I haven't slept through the night.
Oh
So
no, I totally understand that. That's why I'm like, wow, hats off to you. I did
yeah,
it back to back as well. It was how long did we do it for? I want to say it was 6 years in total because I did
wow.
almost 6 years, yeah, because first I did my preemie and then immediately I had the next one, and so
Mm,
I just
mm.
continued. And oh my gosh, it was when you finally get to sleep through the night, I promise you, you're gonna be a different person.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that day. But yeah, so it's
But I also
yeah, nothing.
understand, and I don't think you should be too harsh on yourself. And I don't think neglect is also the right word. We have to be kind to ourselves. I've learned in the wording that we use when we speak to ourselves, about our parenting. Um, I understand how you might be feeling guilty because it's just the easier way, but like
Yeah,
sometimes it's okay to just show up in the way of
yeah,
what we
yeah,
have to give at that moment. My
yeah.
little one, because he also notices the difference in the parenting, and so many times he has said, things that actually really break my heart, like, why do you give him more attention, or you love him more
Mm,
than you love me?
yeah,
And I have to just, because also we have also never formally told any of them that there is a specific condition.
yeah,
And so it's kind of hard to navigate, but I'm trying to be as kind as I can to myself. And it's hard for you as an individual to show up differently
yeah,
every day. I just had this
yeah,
conversation with another mom, differently every day, sometimes at the same time for the different
yeah,
children's needs.
yeah.
So I'm like, I think I've kind of made peace that some way, somehow they're going to have some mommy daddy issues, no matter how hard it is that we have
Yeah,
tried.
either way though, either way, I've learned either way.
Yeah, so please don't feel too bad about it. Like,
Yeah,
this is
no,
the
it's like you
cards
said,
that
it's
the
just a
hands we've
guilt.
been dealt. Yeah, and we
Yeah,
just gotta make the most of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to hear because I see that you are doing some phenomenal
Yeah.
things. Women, how are you managing to do it
I
all?
I don't know. I guess I don't know. There's a lot of times where I'm up at like 2 o'clock in the morning because one of the
Mm,
kids they're not sleeping, and then in that just that peaceful time when they're busy fading,
yeah.
and I'm not able to fall asleep. I'm like, well, let me keep myself busy. So,
Yes.
when when we started this thing with Rory, the trauma of it all. Again, circling back to what you said, we have to be kind to how we speak to
Mm,
ourselves, and what we say about us as moms. And it just comes down to the foundation we're setting for our children. And what I did was i was I had affirmations pasted all over the bedroom, in the bathroom, in just everywhere, just affirmations everywhere, like everywhere you look it was that. And that's what got my husband and I through really tough times, just to give us a little bit of hope. And then I was like, I want something similar for my kids. So I
mm,
started writing affirmations for my children. And I was like, man, kids don't just want to see I'm brave or I'm strong. Let me make
yeah.
it into a story format. And
Oh,
then, yeah, so the idea just came, and I was like, okay, let me make a book. So I recently published my first book, Mysterious Book of
woohoo!
Magic, Affirmations for Kids. And it's about three children, and they go on this journey and they learn about themselves. And then they realize that the magic, what makes you special, that's within you,
Ah,
irrespective of your strengths or your, challenges. So that's what the story is about. And it is the first of five books.
oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. And all the books is about being different, making a difference, and inclusivity. That was a very important message for me to put out there, and also for children like ours to see themselves represented in a book. That has become
Love
very
that.
important to me. Yeah.
Yes, representation
um,
matters so
yes,
much.
yes, yes. And I mean, I found a school. It's 30 minutes away, but it's out of my way. It's in a different town, which means I have to drive two opposite directions for Rory's therapy and for, her brother's school. But I specifically put him in that school because they have neurotypical and neurodivergent children. So
Okay.
they have, yeah, so they have a few microcephaly children, they have a few CP children, and then they also have just typical children. So
Yeah,
in his class is a little boy who's similar to Rory. He's just a little older, and yeah, that environment where you go to school and school looks like home.
like home.
That was
Yes.
that was important for me. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that
that
is
representation
beautiful.
is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for
So
sure. That was one of the things that we struggled. I struggled to find the perfect fit. I'm
yeah.
sure I looked up every single special educational school
Mm,
in Johannesburg. Like I was also willing to travel and all of that.
yeah.
Just because neurodivergence is such a broad thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
finding
Absolutely.
that right fit for you, and I
Mm,
stress it all the time, it really makes the difference. It will make or break your journey if
yeah.
everything is not in place the way that it
Yeah.
should be. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy
For
that
sure.
you know your son will always be aware, but that also he
Yeah.
still gets to experience things as a normal,
Yes. Of course.
quote
Yes.
unquote, normal child would. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the books are mainly, we also started a foundation in Rory's name, the Rory Costin Foundation. And this
Yes.
foundation, yeah, we want to use the books, sell the books to raise money for the foundation, because it's going to be twofold now. The money from the foundation will sponsor, there's a center here, the Sunshine Center, and we want to help them raise money to build a new structure. They are the only place in town that caters to disabled children.
Goodness.
Yeah, but it's like a school the kids go to, and they take the kids up till the age of 18. And their aim is not their aim, is it is what they're doing. They just struggle with funding. These children basically raise these children, equip these children to become functioning independent adults. Yeah, catering kitchen, they have a greenhouse. or they're planning to get a greenhouse. They want to sell the vegetables, woodwork, needlework, and they want to teach these skills to the disabled children so that they can become independent. And I think that's very important. So that's a cause that obviously we will support, since my child will be in a community like that. And then the second part is we want to sponsor therapy intensives to,
Wow.
neurodivergent children. And this will be at Beyond Barriers Pediatric. And I want to tell you the backstory of this therapy studio. I had met a mom about a year and a half ago. Her child is 10 years, she just turned 11. Her child is 11, my child is turning 4. So there's a big gap in terms of her journey and my journey, the road that she's walked. She's the one who introduced me to the stem cells, and I
Wow.
then introduced her to DMI.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
then,
love
yeah.
that.
So she took her daughter. The kid was 10 years old at the time. They went last year. She took her daughter to the US for DMI, and she came back. And I was like, I was always checking in. And she came back and she said, um, her child was just thriving. Her child just started
Wow.
thriving. And she said, I can't afford to go back. How do we get them
Mm.
here? Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, let's see. How do we get them here?
Yeah.
Maybe we can line up some children, get them to come. Eventually they said, no, they don't mind coming. And we're like, okay, so if we have 3 kids, it's not enough. It's not financially viable. Let's get a whole team. So we started getting more children, recruited, not recruited, reached out to some parents, and then we're like, okay, but where are they gonna do the
Do
therapy?
the
So we got to
therapy. Yeah.
find space. Yeah. So we found the space. We're like, okay, so how are we gonna just pay rent every month and not make money? Like, we're just operating at a loss. And then we had to furnish this place. And we're like, why don't we just start a business? So
Oh my
so
goodness.
yeah, so that's how Beyond Barriers was born. It will also be or it is the only neurodevelopmental therapy studio in the country.
Wow.
We've done our research. There is no NDT, physio, or OT in Namibia. You literally have to go to Cape Town or Joburg to get this kind of treatment. There's no DMI here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rory's therapist actually does DMI, but she's not NDT, and that is an extra course that you take, neurodevelopmental treatment. It's an extra course that you take, and then you understand how you work with children who have
Mm.
um, you know,
Uh,
brain injuries.
yeah. Wow.
So this is what we're doing. Beyond Barriers is that, yeah, we're opening doors in August, and
Oh,
we have a physio and an OT, that's NDT, coming from the US in September for,
wow.
yeah, and we will be hosting our first DMI intensive here in Namibia, and
Wow. That is
hopefully, yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah, hopefully open our
Wow.
doors to SADC. And so what makes it a game changer is it's 6 families that's taking part in the intensive. 6 families who do not need to travel out of the country, pay accommodation, pay
Mm.
flights, stay for however long. The therapist, just 2 people are coming here. We're all splitting the cost to cover their flights. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And all these moms, everybody,
Sure.
we all want to help our kids.
Wow, that is
So,
amazing. Well done. And
yeah,
you're
I
about to
mean, yeah.
change 6 lives. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying. Yeah, we're trying. Rory is changing lives, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been as determined,
That is
to,
so true.
yeah,
She really, really
yeah,
is. And to see her progress, I'm sure the videos and the pictures that we see online really
yeah,
don't do justice of the journey. But every time I see a video of her, every time I see her interacting, I'm like, wow, I am
yeah,
so, so amazed at the hard work that she has done and that you
yeah, oh,
guys
for
are doing
sure.
as well.
Yeah.
I did want us to, can you tell us just a little bit about the stem cell therapy for those that don't know what it is?
Okay. So, and this is something I love because I'm so fascinated about it. And I've been doing a lot of research before we even started doing the stem cells. I'll tell you what they did, and then I'll explain how it works.
Okay.
So what they did was they harvested stem cells from her hip area. Obviously, you need to be a certain weight. They harvested stem cells, then they take it to this machine, they clean it, they add the enzymes, and then they got about 10 mil in total. And then the 10 mil they inject into the spine, straight into the brain, and they push in as much as possible. So she could take about 4 mil into the brain, and then the rest was put in an IV into her bloodstream. So the first thing that the stem cells do is tackle inflammation, and then it also actually forms new cells, new brain cells.
Mm.
And so usually after stem cell therapy, your body needs to rest like 2 to 3 weeks, and then you do a therapy intensive. And this therapy intensive is now training these new cells, these newborn cells, training them on how to function. I have no idea how the brain does it, but the brain does it.
Mm.
Yeah. So it usually, yeah, it's you see where I guess the area is where the brain is injured. So it
Mm.
goes there because there's a deficit there, and it starts forming new cells. The scar of the brain injury will always be there, but the brain
Okay.
around it starts to grow.
Oh, wow.
And yes, so you are equipping your child
Mm.
with her own cells, and just boosting her a little bit, and it's good. There's different types of stem cells. They also take donor stem cells like your umbilical cord.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so this doctor, usually they do the stem cells for cancer patients, to help them just clean the blood and just help them cure. But they also discovered recently that stem cells is helping with Parkinson's, autism,
Oh,
brain
wow.
injuries. Yeah, so I mean it's fairly new in Southern Africa, maybe 15 years, but in Asia it's been around for many years.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's the type of medicine and that they believe in. um, and I've spoken to a lot of other parents. The doctor actually told us about a little boy who he fell. He was 2 years old. He fell and he hurt his head and he was paralyzed. He couldn't even blink. They had to physically like put drops, and then they had to blink his eyes for him a few times
Oh,
a day and
no.
stuff so it doesn't dry out. He could not move. He was, yeah, it was really bad. And then he was 4 years old. They did stem cell therapy and he did about three to five rounds. He's at school now. He's 10 years old. He's running around. He's thriving.
What?
Yeah. So when he told us that story, we were like, well, when
Sold.
do we start? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it takes
Um,
about 6 months for the stem cells in your body and brain to mature. So you cannot do like round two within 6 months. You have to wait at least 6 months plus.
okay.
So that's why we're going back in August.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow. That
yeah,
is amazing information. I've heard a little bit of stem cells and research. I actually didn't know that you could use your own stem cells. So I
yeah,
always thought
yeah,
it had to be donated from someone. So
yeah,
that's actually
yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. And when
Oh,
we started, we had inquired about it because I heard about the stem cells, and
mm,
everybody, all the doctors said, don't do it, don't do it. It's not enough evidence, don't do it, don't do it. And I wish we did it 2 years ago versus 6 months
mm,
ago, had
yeah.
we known. Yeah,
I can understand why. I can understand why.
yeah,
But that's the
yeah.
wonderful thing, I suppose, about science. It's forever changing, forever
Yes,
evolving.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I'm sure you, like me, forever on the internet
yeah,
looking for new information.
yeah. Yeah, no, of course. And it's fascinating because I spoke to an OT not too long ago. I think it was over the weekend or last week. And she was saying that she's doing a refresher course. What they learned in school 20, 30 years ago is it's like contradicting to what is out there now.
Now, that
So
makes
it's
sense.
things are changing. Obviously people are evolving, and the techniques that were implemented 50 years ago
Yeah.
and what is currently being done, it's like, what, you guys are
Yeah.
outdated. Yeah,
Night and day. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that is. This is wonderful news. I'm so excited for you guys and what the future has. I'm sure we're going to have to do update number 3.
Yeah, every
after
season.
this, yeah, after this
Yeah.
next round, because I'm especially interested in the stem cell therapy, how that is going to change. But also, I mean, we need to find out how the new center is going, how our book sales going, because
Yes.
I see that where can we get your book? I saw that we got into exclusive books. So I think that you got into exclusive books with the
Yes,
book,
exclusive books.
which I mean,
Yeah, exclusive
if
books,
not, they are the
Namibia.
biggest bookstore in South Africa, in Southern
Yeah,
Africa.
and PNA as well, and
Okay.
they're also available on Amazon worldwide. And our next challenge is Take a Lot. We put it on Take a Lot. We're just gonna, yeah, because we do want to raise funds and we do want to help children. So yeah, in Rory's honor and for Rory's legacy, this is an important cause.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
So guys, please head out. Let's go and support. Tag us in those videos when you do purchase your books.
for
And
sure.
yeah, where can everybody reach out to you if anybody wants to donate? If they want to follow Rory's story, where can they find you guys?
So Rory has her own page. What is it? Rory Kostin 28. That's on Instagram. She's also on TikTok, I think, with the same name, Rory Kostin. And then we have a page, separate page for the foundation, just for updates on what's happening. That is Rory Kostin Foundation, also on Instagram at. um,
We'll definitely add it
so
on the show notes so everyone can
yeah,
just click on it and
yes.
find you guys.
So on the foundation, there is some information on the foundation's page. There's some information on if you want to donate. The easiest is to buy a book, but there's also a GoFundMe page that we have, and this GoFundMe page is well, the foundation is registered in the U.S.
Okay.
There's a board that's managing everything. So the easiest way, like I said, would be to buy a book. It's also the cheapest, but if you feel like you want to donate to the foundation, once we've reached our target, only then the money will be released and shared, and then also publicly,
Mhm.
just for transparency reasons,
Yeah.
also shared what we did with the funds, where it went. So yeah, that's still a long road. But yeah, everything is on social media, and yeah, would love to have new followers so that they can follow this journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Please go and follow them, guys, and support where you can. If you can't purchase a book, share the page. Maybe someone else
yeah,
can. But if you can, and you
yeah,
can purchase more than one book to give to another parent, that would
yeah.
also be awesome. Well, Anthea, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
back
you,
on the Life
thank you.
Love Everything
Yeah,
podcast. And we can't wait to see all the wonderful work that you're doing, because what you're doing is really life changing. So thank you so much. And
thank
with
you.
that, guys, that's the end of our episode. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining me, Tasman Boita, on Life Love Everything.